Hey guys, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. 353 episodes, Mike. It's the first time we've had a wood chipper out of our window.
It's pretty loud, right?
Yeah, they're taking some trees down out there. So guys, if you hear something, it's like Fargo over here. If you hear something in the background, I apologize about that. But anyway, 353rd episode, and I'm excited about today's topic because we're going to talk about Smashbag as a training aid. It's one of those training aids that ticks a lot of boxes for me because it's simple, it's not too expensive at all, and it does work. And it's something that I've been using as part of my regular practice routine. If you follow me on Instagram, you see some of my stories. I've been working on some swing improvements at home. And actually, that's another box that ticks, Mike, is that it's something you can use at home.
Yeah.
So I've been using it a lot, and I want to dive into the way I use it, but there's a lot of ways you can use it. I was first turned on to using the Smash Bag or the Impact Bag. It goes by different names. But when we worked with Brad Worthington at Pound Ridge earlier this year, he had me using it for feedback.
You were an instant believer.
Yeah. Because you know what? Sometimes all it takes is some sort of physical feedback. Like someone can explain the golf swing to you or explain the positions of where your body needs to be. But until, if you're like me, I'm kind of a physical learner. Until someone puts you in that position, you doesn't lock in.
No, it makes sense.
This device will put me in the position that I needed my wrists to be in at impact and that forward shaft lean, and it really helped.
Dude, you were humming on that range. I remember you were feeling good.
I was. I felt good, and it translated right to the course. We went to the course afterwards, and it really worked. So it's something that helped me. I'm not going to say that it's going to help everybody, but as far as fundamentals go, I don't think that there's any golfer who wouldn't benefit from using it a bit. And like I said, we'll get into where to get one and how much they are a little bit later on. But you'd be surprised, and I was surprised at how cost effective they are.
Oh yeah. I mean, what are they, $30, $20?
It was, it's just like, I think I got the one, I'll look it up too while we're on here, but I got it on Amazon for like $24.
Oh, that's not bad.
Delivered.
Another great gift idea to surprise someone
That's true too, because we are right at that time. Obviously want to jump into Twitter Tap in a second, but Mike, what else you got going on? It's been a week.
It's been wild.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming off the holiday week.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. You had a milestone birthday, and you had an anniversary, so you had a pretty epic week.
I had a pretty epic, and it was nice just to take a couple days off.
Right? Brain break.
It really was, and that's why not Halloween, Thanksgiving every year is my favorite holiday because it's just kind of like a low key kind of 4 days. You know, it's always that Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday, you're not touching.
You just
anything.
shut it down, and I think that's the only time all year that we shut it down.
Yeah. Completely.
So it was a nice break.
I mean, all day Saturday, I was editing the Ramsey video. But, I found some peace and quiet. My wife took the kids out, so I said, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of work.
There you go.
But, no, speaking of milestone birthday, so I'm still laughing about what happened with Zach, and I feel bad. And I want to tell the story here.
Poor Zach.
You guys have missed it. Go back, check out the video where we did the surprise gift for you for the birthday wedge. And
which is still the coolest thing, by the way.
Yeah, man.
I'm
glad you enjoyed
cool. I sent Aaron AD a note, too, to thank him for his hard work on it. But you guys got me.
Got you good, man.
You guys got me good.
Got you good.
Yeah.
Make sure you reach out to Lanto. Did you get him?
I did. I sent Lanto a message, too, to thank him as well. And
he made a special appearance, guys. So definitely check
I even sent him a message, from my dog to his dog.
Oh, there you go.
They're buddies.
They're buddies now?
Yeah. So,
I like that. All right. There you go. Whatever connects us, right? So that day that we filmed that, the night before, I call up our intern, Zach, who comes in. He helps us with videography and photography. And he all night I'm telling him about all the shots I want to get for this video. I go
shot list.
Exactly where to go. I go, I want to make. I'm actually just scripting the day. I said I'm going to come up the stairs and all the way to you're going to film me say this, that. Got it. We talked on the phone for like a half hour, right? So we had the whole thing done. And now, keep in mind, this is a birthday surprise. So there's a build up, there's a gift, there's unwrapping, there's everything, right? So we go through the whole process. You're epically surprised. Everything worked out great. Frank opens up the gift. Done. Cut. Done for the day.
Yep.
He looks at me and says, he turns red. Beet red.
Red.
And I thought he was going to pass out. I'm like, what's wrong?
I knew it was wrong.
You knew.
Just seeing his face, I said, you shot it in slow-mo.
Shot it in slow-mo, which does not capture any audio.
Right. And he just immediately walked out.
He ran out of the room. Poor Zach. I'm actually laughing on the inside. He said, I need to collect myself for a minute.
Yeah.
He goes outside for like 30 seconds. I don't know what he did. We thought he was gone. I didn't think I was ever going to see the guy again. He came back in. I was like, you know what? Let's redo it.
Yeah.
Let's redo it. I feel so bad. It's like third day on the job, and so his new nickname is Slow Mo.
Yeah.
He's like Fire Guy Ryan in the office. You get a nickname, it's gonna stick. But I felt so bad for him.
I think he was genuinely surprised at how little it actually affected us.
Not at all.
I think he thought we
flinch.
were going to throw him out or something, but because we do so much filming on the golf course and we're not taking the time always to go through like a mental checklist with the camera and stuff. How many times has it been where you and I, you
hit a shot and didn't capture it.
Record,
Yeah.
you did something like that, and you just like, we just adapt.
That's
it's
it.
just like, do what you got to do to fix it. Like, we have recorded whole intros while we're out there. We've had podcasts where we didn't hit the record button.
Yeah, with guests.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's times when that happens. You're moving at light speed. So like, we're so used to it. We're like, we'll do it again. But yeah, the kind of the background on it is the way our camera works is if you shoot in slow motion, it doesn't record any audio. So,
but you shoot that slow motion to get a little bit of a different shot.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Why it was in
so
slow-mo.
there's reasons for it, but there's the microphone basically turns off when you do it that way. So he had this like 4 or 5 minutes of reaction of me opening this thing and just nothing usable.
Nothing usable. It was so great because he was so surprised. When we redid it again, the reaction was the same.
Right.
I know you were not faking that reaction because he was
I
still
wasn't.
shocked.
Well, that's the thing. Like, because it had just happened, I'm like, guys, you can just roll again. I will just be just as shocked because I was in shock right until the end of that day. I think it finally set in later on. I'm like, wow, that was a truly cool surprise.
Yeah, man.
But so now we call him Slow-Mo.
Now he's slow-mo. And if you guys want to go back and watch the fake,
yes,
which wasn't really, like I said, wasn't fake, but Frank's reaction was not the first.
No. But like I said, it was just reliving the surprise one more time for me. So I guess I can have Zach to thank for that.
And he didn't show up today. I think he still feels bad. He said he had a lot of schoolwork, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, we told him, listen, if you're going to work with us, it's a fun environment. We got to be able to bust chops. We do it to each other all day. You guys see it when we record our videos.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, I mean, still some great videos rolling out this year.
We do.
Just as of when we're recording this, we just dropped Mazellum Springs, which was a real treat.
Yes.
To get out there and play. I think every year we've got to have a round with Greg and Kevin.
I was thinking on the way in, why not do 2?
I'm happy to do as many as you want. That's a great group.
That
to play
group
with.
is so great.
Yeah.
Like a spring and like an end of year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And what's so funny is that we both always play better when we play with Greg.
Right.
Because he's just such a good golfer, but he's just like a calming presence
That's
out there.
Yeah. It's a refreshing round.
It is. And he just knows what he's doing, and he'll just inject little bits of advice, like not overly, but like just where he sees you need it. He'll just inject a little bit of advice, or he'll help you with a read. And
he never gets
you play
down
better.
on himself.
No.
Like he made a couple bogeys.
He's a bounce
out there,
back guy.
but it's never like slam the club, angry. It's just like I didn't even know when he makes a bogey. He's just so calm.
Yeah.
And I don't even know when he makes a birdie. He's so calm. That's just his golf game, and it's great to play with people like that.
Yeah, you know what? I think you probably agree with me. I'd rather go out there and play with somebody who shoots 130, but is genuinely out there having a good time, laughing,
Definitely.
whatever, than somebody who shoots 69 but is banging
Angry about
clubs
that.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Mhm.
To me, it's the environment. I mean, even if you watch a lot of our videos, we're not even super consumed by the score. The whole idea for what we do out there is to just bring you guys along for the vibe of what it's like and the feel and
That's
having
it,
fun.
man.
I mean, that's what it's all about. It's the experience of the day. Because at the end of the day, all of these rounds, I will remember what it was like being with those people that day far longer than what I'll remember what I shot that day.
100%.
Right. And
I mean,
if I
how-
ever need to, I'll look back at my shot scope and see. But I mean, honestly, I'm far less concerned with that than I am with the experience.
How many laughs and brand new one-liner jokes did we get at Manhattan Woods?
Oh my God.
With Pete. That video's coming out soon too. And I know a lot of our fans love the course vlogs because it's that experience of, hey, I've never seen this course before.
Right.
I'm going to see it through these guys being us. And we love that. And we love bringing these to you. We got Manhattan Woods coming out, Westchester Hills, Ramsey.
Yep.
And I think that's it for course vlogs, unfortunately.
Yeah, unless you want to count that course we played at the Connecticut Golf School.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty cool. We got to count that.
That was
All right.
cool. So that's coming too. But lots of fun stuff coming, as well as a lot of experiences as we move into winter. We're going to be doing a lot of indoor stuff. We're going to be doing some lessons. We're going to be bringing Kevin Sprecher back on. He's got some motion stuff that he wants to work on us with, which we always learn a lot when we work with Kevin. So stay tuned for that.
Oh, yeah, I want to get him in here. I can't wait. Yeah,
we're gonna
right?
get him in here in the sim, and we're gonna film some lesson work with him.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. All right, I want to do this week's Twitter tab, and before we do, we want to thank this week's sponsor, Titleist. Guys, Titleist's approach to innovation is cumulative. They're always looking to find those shifts that produce lasting superiority, and we really saw that with. Actually, for me, it was a revelation. The first time I saw it super significantly was in the TSI, because going from the TS driver to the TSI, which is just basically a difference of about 2 years in between the development of the clubs, and thinking, well, how much could they have changed? And remarkable in the amount. I mean, I'm not in the business of naming things, but I almost think it should almost had a different name. It's so different. But what they did and what the changes that they put into it, it just shows that they're always in that pursuit to stay ahead. They're never going to kind of like just say sleep on it. They're going to always keep moving. And you can really see that. And one of the big areas was material advances. They've got that unique ATI 425 aerospace titanium that's in the TSI's face. This is the first time that has ever been used in the face of a golf club. And it's manufactured right in Pittsburgh. And it is so strong that they're able to get it super thin, and man, does it jump off that face. You and I both got great ball speed out of it.
It jumps. The sound is beautiful. Everything about it. Sleek looking.
It is. And that's why we ended up going back and saying, I can't just have one in my bag. We went back into the TSI 3 woods, which are sitting in a box right there. Yeah. They just arrived this morning.
Taunting
and
us.
I'm going to open one and hit a couple in the sand after
dude,
this.
definitely.
That's for sure. But anyway, Titleist, that face is helping to make it the longest, the straightest, and the best looking and best sounding driver Titleist has ever made. And don't just take our word for it. Go out and hit it, whether it's indoors in a sim or if you're able to get out there and grab one, get a demo club, hit this TSI driver. You won't look back. Trust me. Visit Titleist.com to learn more about TSI drivers. All right, let's dive into this week's Twitter tap-in. And this is a fun topic.
Another thing you and I are different in.
We are so different in this, right? And if you're not already following us on Twitter, make sure you follow us at Golficity so that you can be part of the Twitter tap-in each week. And this week we asked, what is your tee height preference with your driver? Do you tee it high or do you tee it low? And I like the wording here that it's preference, because there isn't necessarily one right way to do it. Now, I've seen a lot of great instruction, especially recently, talking about teeing a little bit higher, because especially with the way that golf clubs are designed, with where the center of gravity lies and stuff like that, you want to make sure you're hitting it, on that at least middle, if not higher on the face. Now, I tee it high because I have an upward angle of attack, and I like to be able to hit it, like I said, if middle, if not a little bit higher than the middle of the face. You tee it low, though.
I tee it low. I mean, I try to tee it high, but I'm so steep still,
right?
That when I tee it high, I will just scuff up the top of my driver. I'll hit the ball straight up in the air, and basically I'm just going to hit down on a tee. That's all I'm going to be hitting.
Right, and I think that might change as you were working with what's his name from Baltusrol,
Matt Wilson.
Matt Wilson on hitting up a little bit. But for you, ultimately, you're hitting the golf ball is making contact in the same spot on the face as I am.
Yeah,
it's just you deliver the club lower and down, whereas I deliver it up a little bit. It's nuts. It's right.
It's crazy.
But I mean, that's where too. I think the thing to learn from that, and again, not saying one way is right, one way is wrong, but to learn from that is to note and adjust your tee height if you are making changes to your swing. So if you start to change your swing and you notice you're starting to, hit up more or whatever it may be, adjust that to match it. But ultimately, the end result really just needs to be that you want that tee height to be where that club passes through that path of impact, that you're making, center face contact, if not a little bit higher on center face. And every driver is a little bit different, but you can find out those specs about where the that maximum kind of sweet spot center gravity is on your driver. Let's see the first one here, Ed DeTuza. He said it's like you said. I like it low. Whenever I go high, I tend to snap hook the heck out of it. No more than half of a ball above the driver while resting on the ground is good to me.
Same.
Yeah,
I like it. It's confidence too. When I see that ball is a little too high and I'm standing over it, everything goes out the window. Like I should stop my swing and readjust. Most people don't, but I'm just like Eddie there.
That's and I like that he's using a reference point, because I think there's another important takeaway here is that you have to, there's so much inconsistency to golf that you have to add consistency where you can, right? So if it's already going to be very difficult to strike that ball in that same spot of the face, if now you're moving your target by having a different tee height each time, we've talked about this before about things like trying to play the same ball and trying to play the ball in the same area of your stance and using reference points that set you up, because the setup position is like 80% of the battle. If you're set up right, you can just make a swing and there's a chance it's going to be a good one. If you're set up wrong, your body and your mind are going to have to make these very fast, I mean, the swing happens in a few seconds, split-second adjustments to adjust to it. So if you're somebody who's just going up there and just sticking the tee in the ground with no reference point, just know that you're inflicting another variable of inconsistency. So here he's saying when he tees it up, sets the driver down behind it, and he's looking as a reference point of where the driver falls to the ball. My reference point, I like to use the tees with the lines, and I know which line I tee it to, and I just tee until that line disappears in the ground. And
so you're like Thomas here. I tee mine to the yellow line, and he puts a photo of it.
There you go. Yeah, and I use a similar tee to him.
But you use the nice, big, tall blue one.
I like the tall ones with the two lines as the two reference points.
There you go. Yep.
And I know on that second line is where I tee it up. So I think that's an important one. Danny says, I'd say on the higher side, it gets me to swing up on the ball. So that's another good thing. It's like we talk about with the driver, you do want to be hitting up because there's so little loft on that club that's what gets the ball up in the air. So that's another thing you can do is tee it a little higher as a way to force your body to adjust to it. I'm just saying once you get there, use that same tee height over and over. But I've seen some great instruction, especially on YouTube, going around with that idea of just saying tee it a little bit higher. Just note it will take a little time to get used to. It's different for you, you know?
Absolutely.
Joe says the same thing. High, it encourages me to hit up on the ball. So
we got Clay Ogilvy, no relation to Jeff, probably. I don't know, maybe. I tee it low using a 9-degree driver, but that could change with a fitting at Club Champion in about a month or so. And you darn right it might change.
Yeah.
Because going through a fitting, that fitter may find something wrong with your swing. Hopefully they're a good instructor as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, and you know what? Don't hesitate to ask your fitter who fits you that club. A good fitter is going to have a very intimate knowledge of the clubs themselves, and they're going to be able to tell you where on that face of that particular club you really want to kind of hone in on. They'll talk about things like the center of gravity and things like that.
Yep.
And then that way you can kind of, and I've even seen it like sometimes the max point is pushed out a little bit towards the toe, like a hair towards the toe. And high, but you can look at that and you can kind of adjust your tee height dependingly.
Louis Tover. It's great.
Yeah,
it all depends on the day. If I want to try and crush it, I tee it high and let it fly. But if I just want to get it into play and try to score, I tee it low and let it go.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's that, and there's also playing the conditions of the day. If it's a really windy day, I am not going to tee it high and try to really hit up on it.
Right.
You know, because that's what gets it way up in the air. If you tee it a little bit lower, you're obviously going to cut under that wind just a bit. But the key is not to change your swing too much. And also we're not talking about dramatic differences. Like, it's not like you're teeing it for an 8-iron and then for a driver, like on the ground or all the way up. You can just change that by like a half inch, and just moving a half inch down on the face is obviously going to keep it lower.
Right.
You know, so that's an important one.
Seen a lot of tee it high and let it flies.
Jared says, started to rebuild my swing after about 5 years of not playing. Started to tee it up higher now that I have more of an inside out swing. So that's a good one. That was one thing you were working on, was taking it more inside out. Yep. And then that was naturally the natural progression of an inside out swing is going to be coming up on the ball at impact.
Yeah.
You know, whereas when you go over the top, you know, and you're outside in, really we learned that all you can do is come down like this. So your downward angle of attack. So that's where you end up having to tee it a little bit lower to make center face contact. Mm-hmm. But if you're inside out, like Jared's saying, here's where naturally as you rotate through, as you move towards that front leading foot, that club is probably reach its bottom point and start working its way up. And that's where you're going to have to tee a little higher. So Jared, thanks for driving home our point here that this is something that can change as you make swing changes.
Right.
So a lot of good answers here. A lot of similar type of thing that they're saying that, you know, if you a little bit lower when people want a little more control, and tee it high, let it fly. But one thing I keep seeing here too, and I appreciate so many responses. There's so many of them. A lot of people talk about tee preference of buying ones with different lines that work for them.
Mm-hmm.
I do find that if I run out of tees and I just grab one off of the tee box and it's not the ones I'm used to, I do feel a little bit lost because my line's not there, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm teeing it quite high enough.
I always leave my tee there for you, but you never use it. You know,
we always say, if you want to find Mike, there's a breadcrumbs trail of tees.
Because I never pick up my tees.
Never picks up his tee.
I don't know why.
It's his trademark.
It's my trademark.
That's his trademark.
Broken
if you were
or
a
not
serial
broken.
killer, you would leave a tee after you killed each person.
Exactly.
Right.
That would be it.
Instead, you're a golfer, thank God.
It's like that
And not a
Seinfeld
serial
episode where
killer.
we found the serial killer found the tea in the pocket.
Yes.
Kendison. I don't
It
know.
always all comes back
Always
to
comes back
Seinfeld.
to that.
All right. Anyway.
Alrighty. So
I
moving on
appreciate
here.
all the responses. Let's move on. Let's do a quick word from our sponsors, and I want to talk about impact
Yeah,
bags.
let's do it, guys.
Yeah.
This episode's brought to you by ShotScope, the all-in-one GPS and stat tracking watch. And the ShotScope watch offers players laser-like GPS, stat tracking, helps you improve, helps you enjoy the game. You're rewarded with tons of stats for your golf game. You can find all the things like your strengths, your weaknesses, fairways, hits, greens in regulation, proximity to the hole, putts hold. I can go on and on. One of these days, I'm going to sit here and just ramble off all of them.
Great. That would be the whole half-hour
The whole
podcast.
half-hour podcast
Yeah.
is going to be all the stats
Yeah.
that ShotScope gives you. And, you know, not sold out. I just checked on their website. It's available still. The G3 is the GPS only, so no stat tracking, $179.99. The V3 is still available, $219.99. And guys, no subscription fees.
Yeah.
You know, you buy some, you're worried about paying 10, 15, 20 bucks a month. That's not the case here. You will get all this data stored in this database, this dashboard that you have, shotscope.com, and it's there for you forever. So visit shotscope.com/Golficity. Give someone the best Christmas present I think you can give someone right now is a ShotScope watch. This episode's coming out a little later towards the holidays, but definitely check them out once again, shotscope.com.
And it just keeps getting
Golficity.
better because I just got another email just today about updating the
The firmware update, yeah.
The team.
What is the update?
They are always just working on accuracy and improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just another one that they put out there, and that's part of it. Reminded me of what you said, the subscription fees. It's a product that keeps getting better, then you don't pay an additional $1 for.
That's great.
So I just love when it's just like a new feature. It feels like this year has been the year of features for the ShotScope.
Oh, yeah.
It's just constantly rolling out new things, and a lot of that is from listening to you guys and what you guys want. And I know if you're in our Facebook group, I know a lot of the ShotScope team is in there as well, and they are listening. If there's ever any suggestions or something that you've got, post it there. If there's a wish list of something you'd like to see, Gavin,
Gavin's responsive.
you've had him here, you've seen him here on the podcast before. He's really great about it, and they do take that feedback and they just keep making it better.
They do.
Yeah.
They definitely do. I had one other thing I wanted to say about ShotScope, but I totally forgot.
It'll
So we're
come
going to
back
move
to
on.
you.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
And moving on, I want to thank FootJoy, the #1 outerwear brand in golf. FootJoy, you guys have been keeping me warm these last couple of days. I got to tell you, because it's been getting cold up here. It's snowing outside a little
Yep.
bit. They're committed to helping us extend the golf season as long as possible this year with rain jackets and outerwear for all conditions. So, guys, listen up. The new FootJoy outerwear lineup is the all-new, in the lineup is the all-new Hydro Tour rain jacket. You've seen us wear them. We love it. Designed to withstand the most extreme weather conditions, made specifically for golf with material that is quiet, it's comfortable, it's waterproof, it moves with you during the swing, which a lot of us don't think about. It's very important. And the Hydro Tour will keep you warm and dry whether you're playing in the Northeast or you're on the North Coast of Scotland.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk to you about.
And we just gave
today.
one away.
Yeah, we just gave one away. I want to talk to you about going back to Scotland.
I know.
It's
I
on
saw
my
the
mind.
email too.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yep, we got to go.
We got to go.
Yeah.
Hydro Tour also features a patented new dry seal collar, which is a double collar. Love this thing because it moves the water away from the back of your neck, not down it, no matter how hard the rain is coming down. So play more this year, play better. Check out the Hydro Tour rain jacket and all the other industry-leading rainwear from FootJoy at footjoy.com/MEDP.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into talking about whether you call it an impact bag or a smash bag. Effectively, it's the same thing. And if you distill it down to its most basics, it is basically like a very dense pillow that you can physically swing the club into without harming yourself or the club. And why? Like, what is the reasoning behind it? Well, the big thing, at least for me, the big reason I've been using it for is working on my impact position. So all the things that we do in the golf swing, it all kind of accumulates in that one moment of truth. And that moment of truth is impact. So everything we do, from setup to takeaway to spine angle, everything you've ever heard, balance, all those things work in conjunction with each other in order to help you deliver that club in the right position at impact. And as far as what is the right position, well, there's a lot that goes into that too. And I can tell you what at least I was struggling with was that I was hitting up on the ball a little bit too much, right? And a part of that was flipping. Now, what can cause that? There's a lot of different things that can cause flipping. But I wasn't really shifting my weight enough to my left side, my wrists, instead of being in that proper, angle that we've talked about before, I was starting to get into that flippy motions, which would cause me to have to hit up on the ball. It wasn't as crisp of that compression.
Right.
You know when you compress a golf shot and you just know it, the
know when
feel,
you
the
hit it,
sound, it's so good. And also that consistency, you get consistent distance and things like that. Whereas some of the mistakes that can happen when you're hitting up is if you just shift your weight a little bit too much, you can end up hitting behind the ball, just duffing it, topping it, all of the messy mistakes that none of us like to have. So really working on your impact position is something that can really dynamically improve all of your golf game, because impact position too, it translates kind of through the bag. I even work on it more and more with my chips now, and getting in that right downward strike impact. I mean, something you don't struggle with is hitting down on the ball. Right. If anything, you're working on hitting less down, because there's a sweet spot for everything, right? But that doesn't mean that this wouldn't be a good tool for you as well. And there's a lot of different ways to use it. But the impact bag, what it's really going to do is it's going to help you work on that impact position. And that's why it's called an impact bag.
Yeah. So let's not rule anyone out here. If you're listening to this and you're saying, well, I don't have anywhere I could practice this. This is untrue, because you're doing this in your basement.
My basement.
You've got 8-foot ceilings, right?
Yeah.
And you're not taking a full swing, but darn close.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to take a full swing with this. You know what I mean? And we'll even talk about it in a second, how sometimes it's not wise to take a full 100%, swing speed cut, because you could start to damage things, hitting that much, whether it be your wrists or the club.
Sure.
But I think you can just work on almost in slow motion, 50%, take it back halfway and then halfway through, and just work on the feel of what it feels like at impact.
That's beautiful.
But yeah, you can do it there. You could do it in your garage. I will say, it's not something I can do when the kids go to bed. It's a little bit loud because you are smacking a bag.
That's true. It's probably a loud boom. Yeah.
It's like a boom, but you could go out in your yard. There's a lot of ways you can do it. But first thing is all right, so how do you get your hands on an impact bag? Well, we're going to mention in a second how inexpensive they are. But even if you want to go the most budget route, is just to ask at the range. Sometimes the range you may go to, they might have instructors that work there, and they may have a couple training aids lying around. This is kind of one of those most common training aids that there's a good chance that someone's they've got one that you can just use while you're there at the range.
Right.
So ask around. You could ask a buddy. You could ask in the pro shop. Maybe if the pro has one, but they're not giving lessons at the moment, they'll let you borrow it. So there's different ways you can do it. You could theoretically make one of your own.
You
could take some heavy blankets. Don't take your wife's best duvet,
right? Yeah,
or whatever it is,
Please don't do that.
and do that, because you'll be sleeping on the couch.
So you would just
be
hitting the blanket,
right?
You just fold it up,
but you need something there that's tall enough. A good Smasher impact bag, when it's fully loaded, is probably about 18 to 20 inches tall.
Okay.
Right. So you're gonna have to have something you can stack, and you also don't want something that each time you've got to reset it, because blankets go flying all over the place. So I think ultimately the reason I won't spend too much time on making your own is because they are so darn affordable. It might be best to just buy one. The one that I bought is called the Sklz, Sklz Smash Bag.
Yeah, they make great stuff.
Impact trainer. They do make good stuff. This one on Amazon, $26.99, and if you're Prime, it's free shipping. What it ultimately is, and just so you know, when it arrives, it's an empty bag. You do have to stuff it with your own stuff, but it's made of that like really thick canvas. You know what I'm talking about? Like a tarp, like the thickest tarp you could think of, because otherwise, just hitting it with
you'll rip
an iron, it's eventually going to rip right through it, right? Especially like the leading edge of a wedge or something like that. So it's what you're basically buying is a really good material as a bag. And then what I just did was I just took a bunch of like old clothes that I was going to use as a donation and just stuffed it.
That's
with it.
Yeah, so you don't need sand or anything like that.
No. I mean, this thing would weigh a million pounds.
Right.
So I just stuffed it with that, some old blankets,
Easy.
a pillow or two, whatever it may be. Just kind of get creative, stuff it so that it's nice and firm and it stays in place, but it's also not so stuffed that it's so heavy that you're going to break your wrist when you hit this thing.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to have a little bit of movement. But ultimately, it's a very simple and easy thing to throw together. You buy the bag and you just stuff it.
That's it.
I mean, that's where you got to be. So how do you do this? How do you use it to feel that impact position? And I'll relate this, again, not being a golf coach myself, obviously, I can only relay my own experience and what a golf coach taught me. But there are lots of ways to use this. And once you've got one, you can even search on YouTube, impact bag, whatever it may be, tips or drills that you can use with an impact bag. You're going to find a lot of them and you're going to find visual demonstrations. So I think that's a great way to do it. For me, again, trying to prevent that flip, the way to do it was to get my wrist bent and out in front. And we talked about getting just recently on a podcast, hands out in front of the ball at impact.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what this really helps with, because what's going to happen is as you swing and drive into that bag, the club head itself is going to be stopped by the bag. The hands are going to keep going. So by doing that and kind of freezing in that motion, you're going to start to see and feel what it's like to have hands out in front and a nice downward impact where those hands get out in front of the club face.
I like it. Mm-hmm.
And you'll just feel it time and time again. It's almost like just like forcing your body into the right position, but it's really easy. Don't do it. Obviously don't hit a ball, because you don't want to hit a ball into this thing. What you do is just place that impact bag down roughly in front of where the ball would be. Set up as you would a normal shot. I like to do this with maybe like an 8-iron or something like that. Take your normal takeaway, but in this case, I would advise only going maybe half, maybe 3/4 of the way. I would not advise doing this a full swing at 100% speed, no matter what the club, because again, could cause damage to yourself, the club, or whatever. But go ahead and just, take that about half takeaway and then swing down through as though you're going to hit the ball. And then you'll notice is as you make contact with that impact bag, it's going to, the club itself is going to come to a stop very quickly, and your hands are going to move out in front. Just kind of freeze in that position at that point. Just kind of freeze
just stop it
and
all.
just take it in. Just to understand, where am I at?
Mm-hmm.
What did it feel like? What did it feel like to hit that way and then kind of compress down? And what I ended up doing is it just, for whatever reason, it just kind of clicked mentally to me that I would take like 3 or 4 swings into the impact bag. Then, especially if you're doing this on the range, move the impact bag, put a ball down, and take a shot, trying to remember the same motion. And for me, it would just happen that I would just hit down on the ball, the hands would get out nice out in front, and to get a nice compressed shot. So it was almost like, maybe we're 3 to 5, boom, 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 feel it, move the impact bag, hit a ball. And then see what were the differences, what were the changes.
You bringing the impact bag to the range with you these days?
Yeah, I'm that guy. It's like super loud, whatever. But hey, I tell you what, if you go
were able
back
to use
and
with
watch
Brad.
that video, if you want to see the visual of this, go back and watch that video we did at Pound Ridge with Brad Worthington, where he had me using it. You can see him walking me through hitting it, and then we would hit balls right after it, and it made a dramatic difference.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, you put in the work with him, and it definitely paid off.
It definitely paid off. So like I said, by doing that, rotating between hitting the impact bag and then hitting a ball, you're going to start to really gain a better physical feel of impact position, because that's what it does. Effectively, by stopping the club head dead where it is, it forces you into a good impact position. And then your goal is to then just take that feel and do it with a golf ball.
That's it, man. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Now, the like I said, there's a couple things to know. Like if the impact bag just goes flying when you hit it, it means you got to put some more stuff in it. It's not quite heavy enough. But it can have some movement. I think the perfect amount is if it just kind of slides forward a little bit. Also, what it can do is it can give you kind of feedback. If it is kind of shooting off to the left or to the right, that will give you some impact about your club path through impact. If it's too inside out or outside in.
Yep.
Ideally, it should kind of slide straight back down the target line. Additionally, some coaches, I've talked about how I'm working with impact bags. Some different coaches have said another thing that you can do is, depending on how far out in front you put that impact bag. So let's say it's maybe 6 to 10 inches out in front of where the ball would be. They say start to feel like you're hitting the impact bag with the toe of the club, because what that'll also do is that'll also start to get you turning that club over and closed. So if you're somebody who you find that you're slicing the ball or you're pushing the ball for a righty right because you've got an open club face,
Right.
well, then that is going to be, the feedback of that is going to be that you notice that you're hitting the impact bag with the heel of the club a little bit.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at this point, if it, depending on how far out in front it is, it might be with a flat face. But if it's further out in front, you want to start to note that you're hitting it almost with the toe, because you've now passed the impact position and the club is closing and rotating. Just all depends on where you put that bag. But just keep in mind, the idea here is that it also provides feedback of club face open, closed, or,
Yeah, and as you're talking, I just saw, and I see this drill all the time on Instagram, Facebook. It's just in my feed. It always comes up. And it's nothing new. It's that simple drill where they put like 3 balls down, one in the middle that you're hitting, but one's a little, for a righty, one's in front, a little bit closer to you, one's behind, a little bit further away from you. So creates that inside out path.
Yeah.
To help that outside in. So my big goal this winter is going to be to try that drill and then even put this smash bag into play.
Yeah.
Like I'm about to order one for this place right now. I'm getting one in here.
Get one for in here, yeah.
I think it'd be great because, my big thing is learning to hit up, hitting less outside in, but I always struggle with the issue at impact, the wrist, and sometimes I have everything open and then I'm just pushing it straight right.
Right.
And I don't know. I've never used a smash bag. I've never, ever even used it. Not even with you that day at Pound Ridge.
Right. Well,
Curious.
that's what I'm saying. Try it, because if you don't have a problem with impact position hitting down like I do, but like if it's just with that club face, it will give you that feedback for club face. Another thing you can use this for too is, don't underestimate it for the short game. Chip shots. You can practice those little chip shots into an impact bag. Same type of thing, because a lot of times, and if you're like me, this is a big thing that I did, was trying to help the ball into the air on my chip shots by, again, hitting up and lifting up rather than hitting down. And you still want that downward impact and let that club face, and the spin kind of get that ball up in the air. And the spin is what's going to stop it. And you're not going to get spin if you start lifting the ball up in the air with a flip. You've got to have that nice crisp downward impact. So even just practicing with some chip shots, and that's not going to make a big loud bang. You're not hitting it that hard, but you can do that. Take a couple of chip shot motion swings into the impact bag and then plop a ball down, take a chip, and see how that changes that result. Or you can use it as like a little even obstacle. You can set it in front and take a ball and try to chip up and over it to, working on getting the ball up and out. But I like, again, that's its own thing. I like to use it as a physical feedback by hitting the bag and then forcing myself into a good impact position.
I love it. Guys, purchased. I just ordered it. $22. It'll be here next Tuesday.
There you go.
You see?
First
affordable and fast.
Ordered on the podcast live. But yeah, that's what I like about it. Again, I always come back to the training aids I like most are the ones that are the simplest and they just serve a very clear, effective purpose. And that's what this does.
Yep.
It will help your impact just by using it. But like I said, get one, experiment with one a little bit on your own. Search YouTube for from drills that you can use with an impact bag. There are a lot of great ones out there. You can work with a coach. For me, it was 10 minutes of having a coach show me how to use it and then investing the time on my own separately to do it. That was basically how it worked. Mm-hmm. So that's it. If you've got any creative way that you're using an impact bag for your own game, let us know. Post it in the comments. You can also post it in the Facebook group. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of us. But we always like when we hear your feedback as well. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's had some other creative way that either you came up with or a coach showed you how to use an impact bag or a smash bag, whatever you want to call it. But we'd love to hear that because there's always new ways. And like I said, once you own it, it just becomes another tool in your arsenal of improvement.
Yeah, man. As it looks, for when you buy something right away, like I'm kind of sold. For you to just do it that day, I think you went home that night and bought it.
I did.
Yeah. So
I knew I used it on the range. I didn't want to forget what we were doing.
Right.
So I literally bought it that day. It's Amazon. It came the next day, and then I could keep the reps up.
That's it, man.
And that's what it comes. Because it's not something that's going to change your game in one swing. You're going to feel it quick, but then you're going to have to keep the reps up and keep using it. And I find it's a good thing to go back to. If I've had a round where particularly I feel like I'm going back to a little flipping and hitting up on the ball too much, I will just, after the round, do a little bit of impact bag work, and then leading up to my next round to try to get myself back to where I need to be.
That's it.
And it does help. All right, guys, you can get to the show notes. We'll include the link as well of where to get the impact bag that we purchased on Amazon. We'll include that in the show notes. You can get to that by going to golficity.com/episode 353, or as always, in the Golficity app. If you haven't already downloaded the app, it's free. It's available for iOS and Android. Go to golficity.com/app for those links. And we'll be back with you guys again next week.